Hi, y'all. It's Angela. I'm back for another episode of Business Unveiled. And I'm super excited because today we're going to be talking with the owner, curator, creative director, and CEO of Swirl Boutique. It's kind of fun. Like when I think of the word swirl, it's like a fun roller coaster of like entrepreneurship journey. And so it just makes me smile. And she is amazing. She's like done all this amazing stuff. And so Lisa Landers is the, like I said, founder, CEO. And we were chatting before I started to record, and she's like, "Where's your Southern draw?" And she's in Southern California, where she has her boutique locations all in California. And I'm jealous because the weather there is amazing. And she has grown online stores. So she first started in 2006 and then opened her third location in 2019. So she's been featured. Are you ready for this? I don't know if you guys watch this, but Bravo's Real Housewives, MTV, Forbes, and seen on countless of probably your favorite fashion influencers and YouTube stars, which is where everything is going now, YouTube and TikTok. So today we're going to be talking about brand longevity. So if you're new to business or you are needing a brand facelift, this is going to be the perfect podcast for you to listen to, because we're going to be talking about multiple important things on how to pivot your business, especially in the current climate. And I don't know when you're listening to this, but peeps, it's 2020 and we need to be able to find opportunities and new challenges. So Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Before we jump into talking about California and Swirl Boutique and how you have pivoted online, can you take us back to where you started your journey and where did you grow up? I'm assuming California, but how have you gotten to where you are today?
Welcome to Business Unveiled, the podcast designed to help you thrive in the creative community. Here's your host, events and productivity consultant, Angela Profit.
What's up, GSD leaders? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Business Unveiled, where we share expert tips and secrets from top creative industry professionals. You know, we're going to take you behind the scenes of our experiences, share with you what we've learned from them, and how it's made us stronger. Because no one said it's easy owning a business, right? But it's a lot more fun when you've got a strong support team around you. And that's exactly what we do at GSD Creative. We're right there by your side. And I'm so excited that you've chosen this podcast to take the first step in growing a productive, profitable, and successful, wildly successful business within the hospitality and creative industry. Today's episode is being brought to you by GSD Academy, where I personally walk you through my 4-step process with personalized videos. I give you downloadable templates and so many resources. So if you're serious about changing your life and your business and you're ready to GSD, that is get shit done, go to bit.ly/GSD Academy.
Well, I always tell people it wasn't something that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to own boutiques. I have to be in the retail business. It's something that I think most people find when you're looking for your passion, it finds you. During college, all throughout, even my senior year in high school, I was working in retail. I was working at corporate. I ended up working in small boutiques and just loved that personal environment and the ability to connect with customers, curate a selection that people just loved and were loyal to. So that's really where my love of retail came from. I ended up starting Swirl Boutique at the real naive age of 23. So I always say that this business is I have grown up together. It's taught me so many of my life lessons, and it really has sharpened me as a human being, really. Because I mean, as you know, as an entrepreneur, you go through so many things in business, and you learn so many lessons that are inevitably going to come at you at one point in your journey. So that's really how I started. And from there, I was able to open up a couple stores. And then my last one, we just opened a year ago in Carlsbad, California. So if you guys are ever in that area, please come by and say hello.
Yay. So you have been in business for over a decade, which for some boutiques, what would you say is like the longevity of it? Like, are some boutiques around 5, 10 years? Like, I mean, you've been at it for a while.
Right. And I think what it comes down to, I think it's a personality. I think it's a new era as we're all experiencing right now. It's a new era in business. And I think you have to be 100% committed and willing to pivot and adapt to the current climate. I think that's half the battle. So if you're somebody starting out or you've just done things for the same way for 5+ years, I mean, you have to evolve with the times and you have to be willing to evolve. And I don't have an ego with, if I don't know something, I always find somebody that knows more than me, or I learn. I mean, I'm consistently learning every day, new ideas, new social media, you name it. I will immerse myself in it and try and figure it out.
So do you find that some of the things that you carried in your boutique when you first started and now in 2020, are some of those things coming back in style?
You are so funny. I always say I love it because no, it's true. And I always look at it. I'm like, there's one product that I have in store that I've carried since 14 years ago, and that's it. So the commitment, fashion is evolving. Fashion always changes. What the consumer wants is always changing. So we are always on the hunt for new lines and new brands that really fit our customer.
What would you say, like, for when you started, over a decade ago to now, would you say that your customers, like, do you still have the same customers that started with you over a decade ago, or do you serve a certain niche and an age group of women? And how have you stayed relevant, like, with that niche?
Well, we do. It's funny. We do have some customers that have been with me since the beginning, but I think as you evolve too, customer base is going to evolve. So we definitely have new customers every day. I would say she's a girl, and if I could pinpoint her, I would say the Swirl girl is somebody that cares about health, has an active lifestyle. She's maybe a mom. She loves Southern California. She loves taking her dog for a walk on the beach. I mean, I can get super micro with you, but she's somebody who enjoys fashion but isn't a slave to it, and also wants to be comfortable and also wants to look good in her pieces and appreciates, the buy better, wear longer mentality, and likes and loves new things too. So she's also somebody that looks to us to be the expert and bring her the latest and greatest in all the new fashion trends.
I love that you know that precise information because it's so important. Like, that's one of the things that over time you have to know your customer, and in order to stay relevant in your brand, you have to know your customer. So how do you pick what is going to be in your boutique? Like, do you go out and go to market, or do you have brands that approach you? Like, for people who are not in the retail world and they don't know how it really works, but like, let's say they're thinking of like starting a little storefront or starting a product line, like, do you or is it a little bit of both? Like you have brands reaching out, or you're like, I got to go out and shop and get out there. Like, how does that part work? Like, and then everything just like ends up in your boutique, and then you just wave a wand and it looks fabulous, right?
Right. It actually, it's a lot of work. People don't realize how much mental work goes into curating a collection. And I think the first thing you start with is, who am I buying for? And like you said, you got to niche down on who your customer is. Who is the girl that's buying these pieces? Because a common mistake I see is that people buy things that they love. Oh, I love fashion. My friends love to shop. I know what's going on. So you always have to look and see what your client's buying and what area you're in to appeal to those certain clients. I would think I would have a totally different boutique if I was in LA, or if I was in Nashville. It would look a little different, and you just have to be ready to see who your customer is. And I always say she's the captain of my ship. So she dictates what we do and what we buy. And I can look at something to this day and go, that's a great piece, but I know she's not going to buy it. And everybody laughs because she is the Swirl girl. So if I can look at it and say, she will love this, that goes in my store. To answer your question about marks, yeah, you do typically you do pre-books for pre-buying. I believe it's like 4 to 6 months in advance. So you have to really know what's trending and what's going forward. And sometimes we get it right. And most of the time we get it right, but there's been those times where we've gotten it wrong. So you have to be able to project trends and really kind of have your finger on the pulse of what's happening next.
Did you see any spike? If you, I'm assuming like some of the Real Housewives, and Bravo have worn some things from Swirl Boutique. And when you had that feature, did you see a spike in sales at all?
We do. I mean, we work with so many influencers, and every time we work with an influencer, we see a spike in sales. We definitely have a great relationship with Emily from the Real Housewives of OC. So you can see in a lot of our pieces. We invite them in. So we give them, not only do we work with them on brands and getting them into the right clothes, but we also personal style them. So I think that's why we have such great influencer relationships, because we actually offer that service. So these girls have events, they have to be on camera, they have a podcast, they have, so many things going on. And they just want to come in and have you dress them head to toe and feel confident that when they're walking out and they go film for the Hills or they go film for Bravo, that they're going to feel and look fabulous. So we definitely have really honed in on our influencer marketing. We're using that as a leverage to boost our online sales. And I think that's something that you can't be afraid to do. I remember sitting at one retreat and I met, are you familiar with Tamra from Real Housewives of OC?
I'm not, but I'm like looking these people up as you're telling me, because I don't ever watch TV, but my friends love this show.
I call it market research, so my husband can't get mad at me anymore. So I can watch all the reality shows.
I love it.
So she told me one time when I was at a retreat and she was one of the guest speakers, and she said, you know what? Nobody asked me. Nobody usually comes up and asks. They think that I won't. They think that I wouldn't be interested. And the first thing that you need to know when you're approaching an influencer is just to ask and open up the dialogue. I'm surprised how many DM relationships I cultivate, how many people say yes. I mean, I just had one bachelor reach out to me regarding a jumper, and I said, wait a minute, aren't you so-and-so? I said, can we send you out some stuff? And she goes, yes, I would love that. So
That's
I think
awesome.
it's about having the ability to be fearless.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the worst anybody could ever tell you is no. And I know if you're just starting out, you don't necessarily always have the biggest budget to gift or to partner with some of these influencers, but I would just recommend honing in on maybe somebody local in your community and reaching out to her and seeing if they'd like to work together or do some type of collab. And that also helps boost your visibility too.
Yeah. So when you guys work with influencers, do you have a certain, like a one sheet or something that says, okay, we'll do this, but then you have to tag, you have to mention, like, to make sure that they're doing their part?
Right. Again, it all comes back to that personal relationship. When I'm looking to work or collab with anybody, I like to formulate that first, because I think that establishes trust, and the trust that you're going to perform, I'm going to take care of you. It's going to be a great working relationship. And if it performs for us, we can actually do this again. So I really like to meet my influencers or get to know them on a personal level before we even start that process. Because I think if you're not connected with the brand or the person, it's really hard, as you know, when you're getting gifted, or if the influencer doesn't have a contract or doesn't have a way to reference what their responsibilities are, that could get lost in the shuffle too. And I'm sure you've maybe had personal experiences or known somebody. So I think it starts there first. I think you really need to figure out who your girl is, and would your girl who's shopping at your store, your product or your brand, would she be interested in what this influencer has to say? Because some people don't translate. So you have to be careful of it. Does your influencer align with the brand and what the brand's message is?
Yeah, it's so interesting because we have people approach us, for different things, and some people really have it together. They've done their research. They know what people stand for. They know exactly what to ask for. They've got it together. And then you have other people that, I don't know, some of these, I guess there's like influencer management companies and agencies, and they totally missed the mark. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to promote your paperless planner. I don't use paper. And we teach
Right.
companies to go paperless. So, and it's just, I don't know, like it flabbergasts me sometimes when I'm like, did they send this email to the wrong person?
Right.
Um,
And it takes 2 seconds to learn and to actually research a company. And the ones that do, or I always suggest too, to an upcoming influencer or somebody that wants to collab with the brand, I mean, buy the product first and then show the company what you can do. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get on companies' radars, and I think that's one of them. And I think they missed the mark of not trying to showcase the product before they ask to partner.
That's a great thought, because there's we do a lot of boutique resort work, and one of the new boutique brands, it's literally a new brand as well. It's beautiful, and they have all these influencers reaching out to them saying, can I come stay at your place for free?
Wouldn't that be
And the owner, he's like, what? And he is so not in that world at all. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to ask in return? Like, if I just, and most of them are women. And he's like, if I just let all these girls come and stay here. And I'm like, well, let's get together like some type of a, like a one sheet in a contract. I'm like, you can stay here if you do this. But it literally like catapulted his brand when
right?
he didn't even invite, they were approaching him, like these agencies were approaching him because they wanted to come in there and take pictures because the stained glass windows were beautiful and they had a history to them and it had a story to tell. And so, but he was so overwhelmed with it because he didn't understand it. He's like, why would all these people want to come stay here for free? And I'm like, no, you don't get it. And so I had to literally sit down and teach him, like, he's like, I feel like I'm back in like college or something. I'm like, it's a whole different world, but there's
Really?
a lot of money to be made and a lot of, it's just not about the money. It is about brands being authentic to like actually really wanting to stay there and like tell your story. So he was able to gain a very quick following because of that, but like he didn't get it at first. So some people that are inexperienced, I feel like can like have a bad experience if they don't know what to ask for, in the returning side. But as far as like Swirl Boutique, like how are your boutiques different? Because there's a lot of like little shops and little boutiques, and how do you make it stand out?
Well, we do a lot of brand collaborations, brand events. So we're really, really aggressive on our marketing side, and we really focus on community. We do community pop-ups with local jewelry designers. Right now, we support about 40 different local jewelry designers in Southern California. We do a lot of brand introductions to our new clients, so they can trust us. We've built that following and that loyal relationship. They can trust us to bring them the newest item and the newest line, so they don't even have to think. We do personal styling, so we have these ladies' information. We text them and let them know a new product comes in that they would love. So we've really formulated, I keep saying it's personal, but it is personal. And
Yeah.
that's probably one of our biggest struggles during this period, is that we are so personal. We built such a following in stores of how to translate that to our online store and how to tell our story and reach out to that online community and share our company culture. That's been one of our biggest struggles thus far.
So how did you all have e-commerce and sell online pre-COVID?
We did, but in all actuality, because our stores did so great, we really didn't put the time to focus into it. It did well, but we weren't really seeing the business as much as we were in the stores. So I really took the opportunity once we were forced to shut down to really pour all of my energy into developing our online store. And as you know, when you're running 3 businesses and you're doing this and that, it's sometimes that you can't do everything. You can't do everything well. So we really took the time to refocus our online store and leverage our following that we do have and really create experiences and customer experiences virtually.
Yeah, it's really amazing like what you guys have been able to do. And, quickly your website and everything on it is so cute. Like
Thank you
I'm
so
looking
much.
at it. I'm like, everyone listening, if you're driving, because a lot of our listeners, they're so cute. They like email me or DM me and they're like, I'm going to work, or I'm driving. A lot of people are driving and or they're like working out, and I'm like, stop what you're doing, pull over and like go to the website, Swirl Boutique. Like this stuff is so cute. I love it. What platform do you guys build on?
For our website, we use Shopify.
Okay, yeah. Shopify is killing it right now.
So
Like,
so easy. I tell everybody, people that haven't taken that leap, or I always recommend Shopify because it also pairs nicely to all the different apps and all your email platforms and customer loyalties. It's just such a great tool to use if you're trying to build an online store. And I think it's pretty user friendly.
gotcha. It is. Like we've learned the back end of Shopify for friends of mine who have small boutiques, but most of them it's like a jewelry boutique. We've helped a few women's retail where it was 100% of their traffic was foot traffic and tourism, because we're in Nashville, it's a touristy place. And they're like, I don't even know how to sell one thing. They're like, do I go to Amazon? And I'm like, no. You have to start with like Shopify first,
Right.
and we can get to Amazon, but like that's a totally different story. And so I'm like, I don't really know if you want that. But yeah, you're definitely ahead of the curve though, I feel like, on the boutique side for women's retail, because what I have seen is that people either sell everything online, they have no foot traffic, they don't even have retail shops. But because of COVID, do you see that changing at all, or do you feel like, I mean, you've been in it for so long, I feel like you would not see yourself not operating out of a boutique, but do you find like now with COVID, is it like 50% foot traffic and 50% online? Or do you see that swaying either way due to COVID?
Where our online sales have, as of I want to say May, had already doubled past the year before, and we're
Wow.
halfway into the month, and we're so excited about our online store. We're just so geared up and ready. All the team is ready to make this big change. We see it going definitely more virtual in every department. We actually just had our first virtual trunk show with a brand.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've heard of them, but they've been a leader
Oh.
in the industry for like the last 20 years. And it was the first one I've ever seen. And I pitched that idea to them because we were supposed to have our grand opening party with them. And obviously, as you know, things change, events change. So we kind of turned it around to this virtual shopping experience where they got to come and check out Swirl. The owner and designer of the brand had them in her house. We made this really fun, yummy cocktail. We had live models, and we had some influencers on our stories giving us their favorite picks as well. So it was such a fun time, and we saw such a huge lift in sales from that we are so excited to do more.
Okay, when is your next one? Because I want to sign up and come.
Right.
Do you have one coming up?
We do. We have one coming up. It's going to be probably at the end of the month, and we're going to be doing it with a company called The Laundry Room. And we've also found that people are loving their cozies and their basics, and so the really heavily focuses on that. We've done some custom collaborations with them as well. So that's something too that we've been trying to offer our clientele, is not just things that you'll find at every online store. We really curate a selection that's just for them, that items that you can't find anywhere else. And we're really focused on giving them exclusives. So I think that's another way, if you're looking to build an online store, to kind of set yourself apart. And so we will be doing our next virtual trunk show with them. So you're going to be able to take a deeper look into what they do, their internal workings of their factory, and how they produce their clothes. So we're really focusing on giving people an inside look behind the brands, like adding that other layer of why are you a Swirl girl? Well, because we're giving you access to amazing brands and what they're up to. Our next one is also going to be with Inda Clothing, and she is one of the only certified green batik factories in Bali. So she's going to be walking us sustainability of that and her beautiful clothes and how they're made in Bali, hand painted by all the Balinese locals. I mean, just so many cool stories out there. And I think people don't necessarily get access to those. And we're really going to bring those to the forefront going forward. That's our mission right now.
That is so cool. Cause like, I remember when Snapchat and like stories and things first came out. And my brand manager I was working with at the time, he's like, you've got to show people like the behind the scenes, like how did this event to get to look like this, and how you traveled and you worked on this private island, like how, and I'm like, I'm not showing people that. That's like a shit show. I'm like, there's stuff everywhere. This is a mess. I'm like, but give me 10 hours and it looks perfect. And he's like, no, you don't understand. People like literally love seeing how all this comes together. And I was like, oh, whatever. You're a dude. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. But I tried it, and thank God I listened to him because he was right. And he taught me a lot. And I'm just like, well, I don't want to say it twice. Like if it disappears. And he's like, no, it's FOMO, like fear of missing out. Like when you put a timeline on something and it's going to disappear, people are going to miss out. And so it's actually like when we were, and this was years ago, you know, when all this first came out, because when I started my first company, none of this stuff existed, but it's been so fascinating and so cool. And like I was listening, this lady, she has a book called Stories That Stick. And right before the pandemic started, she came to Nashville and spoke to this entrepreneur organization I'm in. And she was so fun and cute and like a stylish little girl from New York, a short little blonde. And she's like telling stories in the behind the scenes for brands, and she was like specifically talking about retail brands, like makes people want to support the brand. And so if people understand like things are hand painted, and you know, someone looks at a jacket and they're like, oh my God, that's $1,500. I would never pay that. But if they knew the story behind it and the labor that went into it, I feel like people, not that they're more empathetic, but they are in alignment with that brand and they want to support it. So I think that's a good thing. Like, I don't know. That's what I've observed.
I mean, everybody has a story. And I think getting in front of the brand, making your story known. And we're using our platform now to give these designers voices, down from the micro designers that are, you know, doing one jewelry line out of their house to the big brands that have been in the industry forever, but have never really put their story out there or their founder out there. So we're really having a lot of fun getting to know the back end. I mean, selfishly, I'm loving it too, because I'm connecting with all these women and these designers and really learning like what makes them tick and how they started their business. And I'm learning stuff that I've never learned before too. And I've maybe carried the line for, you know, the last 5 years. So we're really focusing on aligning with, you know, really amazing brand partnerships and just strengthening those relationships. And like I said, our next one with this gal that she lives in Bali full time. She's like, I've never really talked on here before. I've never really done this. I'm like, well, I think you have such a powerful and such a cool story that I think our audience would love this. And people that already love and support your brand are going to love your brand even more. It's just, we have to get story out. And she was like, I don't know, I'm a little nervous, I'm not sure. I'm like, I'm telling you, like, and you know, and people are afraid of haters and whatever's out. I just got to do it. And I for the people that are really going to resonate with you, I think it's so important to just kind of push through those fears and just show up and actually just be authentic. And my biggest engagement comes from the journey. It's never the actual curated pretty picture or the feed. It's the journey. Like whenever I do my buying trips or show my process, that's what people really want to see. And that's where I see the biggest numbers and tuning in. So I think there is something powerful behind that. And we're all trying to find a way to connect with each other, especially right now, that I think it's even more powerful to show that on your social media platform of how you're connecting and, you know, open yourself up to doing more IGTVs or lives or just different experiences that really kind of layer into your brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have brands or influencers and they ask for partnerships as a boutique owner, and this is for, because I know we have people that, I mean, they're like, how do you become an influencer? And it's like, I'm the wrong girl to ask that question, because how I've built influence is for doing events for so many years and like sharing the true behind the scenes, like, hey, this shit's hard. We're not like fairy godmothers that like flutter around and put glitter everywhere and poof, it's perfect. Like, it takes a lot of work, a lot of strategy, a lot of good team, hundreds of hands to put this shit together up and down. And so I'm glad that I'm like living in the time where people appreciate the realness of it. But there's some people, they're like, well, I haven't really done anything. I'm like, well, what's your passion? Like, do you love fashion? Like you said, everybody has to have a story, but with purpose, like some type of purpose. So when people come to you for brand partnerships, what are you looking for? Like, what does your boutique look for? Like, how do you choose brand partnerships? So do you have people come to you and you're like, nah, you're not in alignment? Like, what do you look for? Or do you do the asking, or when people come to you, like, how do you make sure it's a good fit?
Well, we're fortunate now to where people do come and ask me. Before, I would be approaching brands and you'd have to submit like who you sat with. And I mean, I think that was a bit more of an old school mentality in that industry, where you would have to say, oh, I have this line, this line, this line. So that's why you would be a good fit. So I think I would say, 10 years ago, you were approaching brands. I think there's so many brands out there now and so much competition that, nicely enough, we don't have to do that anymore. But I would say what I look for in a brand partnership is exclusivity. I look for somebody that's willing to just not be a brand partner in the sense that they sell me their goods, but they're going to be a brand partner in helping me host events, do collaborations. So one of my bachelor girls calls up and says, oh, I really love this outfit. Do you think so-and-so would send it to me? And then so we do a collaboration with her. I look for people that really care about us as a store and understand who we are as a store and understand our community as well. So I'm looking for people that want to really be partners on all levels, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, which kind of flows into my next thing is like, were you born with like this passion, like for fashion and clothes, or did you kind of like grow into it?
I think I grew into it. I think I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I love business, and I mean, I love fashion, don't get me wrong, but I love all aspects of business. I'm interested in almost every facet there is, even product designing, you name it, I'm into it. I think I've always just had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I've always been able to be a leader in any of my industries. So I think that just made sense. And I love fashion. So it was just a natural progression for me. And I always tell people, if you want to do something, work in that industry or find a mentor that will let you be a part of their world and you would learn from, and just be a yes person and just, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. Because I think that's the way you're going to learn and see if it's a fit for you, first of all, and really gain the knowledge to maybe start your own destiny with whatever you want to do. I think there's a big mistake that, that I'm seeing, at least, I don't know if you are, that these girls are, girls and guys are getting out of school and expecting just to be at the highest position, at the highest paid job. Mm-hmm. And no one is willing to work for it. And I think that's a huge mistake. I think if you could, you can offer your services to maybe somebody even just as an intern, just to gain the knowledge, because I think that's going to be so much more powerful and impactful in your future than just demanding that, oh, I've graduated, so now I'm going to sit here. And I don't really feel that that's how it works. So I always say, if you do what you love, but you're not going to always love what you do. And I think there's a certain mentality for an entrepreneur that just gets it done.
I love that. So being a woman and being a leader, and I'm assuming that you have lots of team members that are women.
I know, all women all the time.
Yeah. How do you like wrangle all of that and making sure that like all your stores are on the same page and all your girls and all your team members are on the same page? Like, are there any secret things that you use to make sure that everybody is like where they need to be?
Well, I think you can build an infrastructure that does that for you. We have a great manager right now that she takes care of all the ins and outs of the daily details, and I kind of oversee above her. I would say that it's communication. I'm a big collaborative management style. So I like to know what's going on in my stores, even if I'm not working them. And I also put myself in my stores here and there so I can understand what's going on, what the customers are experiencing, maybe products that we need to get more of, or, just general feedback. I think it's a misnomer to not go into your actual place of business. I think it's always good to at least work even a couple days a month. If you're at that level as an entrepreneur where you don't have to, I still think it's important, because I think that's why you're going to really see the true functions of the business. We communicate a lot too. So I always say, if I'm not at work, I'm still at work, because I'm still communicating with my team every couple of minutes. I even had to tell them today, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to be doing this podcast. So we're going to need you guys to, not give a call until, such a time. So it's just, for me, it's probably communicating and being involved. And I don't see myself as outside of it. I want to know everything that's going on so I can have a better handle on how to approach it, or if we need to change business practices. I think it's just really helpful.
And then this may be a really stupid question, but I'm going to ask it. So with you guys being in California, and the weather is always sunny typically, and is always beautiful, but you do online sales. So for people that live in Colorado in the wintertime, would they come to your shop online and buy things? Is it seasonal year round, to where you just carry clothing that is for the California climate? So you always have swimsuits, you always have, the clothes that aren't the puffy jackets? Or do you guys have seasonal things that you would sell online? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it's a good question. We do carry a bit of what they call resort, which is your swim, your lighter pieces for holiday season. However, in Southern California, because it's so sunny and so amazing all year round, that the minute it gets cold, people want jackets, puffy sweaters, boots. Yeah. So really love that here. And we love that fashion, that you can give us one cold day and we're out there buying 5 outerwear pieces. So we do carry that. They don't want to travel where it's warm, so we have that season all year round. So they really like the fact that they can put their cute long trench coat on with their cute fedora and their cute mother jeans with their booties. So we actually do cater to that. So we don't have any problem selling somebody that lives somewhere cold. I mean, we're not selling your true outdoor jackets, but this is the jacket that's underneath the jacket that you can wear to the house party.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I just I'm looking at some of your stuff online. I'm loving the tie-dye, oversized shirts, and some of the linen stuff, and cute swimwear. I'm and the boots, y'all have the cutest stuff. Good. Do you do all the buying yourself, or do you have people? You do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And like I said, we're really collaborative. So a couple of days ago, one of the girls goes, you know what? And all 3 stores are asking for shorts, denim shorts. So I was like, okay, well, let me see who I can talk to that has great denim shorts.
I love how you listen to your audience. So what you were saying is you can find, if someone wants it and people are asking for it, you can find somewhere to source it typically.
Right. And just for example, even when COVID hit, we were a little low on some of our loungewear, and nobody wanted to wear anything, as you can recall, that wasn't loungewear. So they actually were able to produce from wherever they sourced their materials from, or that they actually owned. So they were able to get we actually formulated a partnership with them, and we're able to get custom styles, tons of the tie-dye stuff that you're looking at right now, cute t-shirts, cute loungewear. And that really helped us survive for at least a month, because we didn't have anything like that in the store currently, because we're focusing on all cute new spring dresses and denim.
So for these virtual trunk shows that are coming up, do people have to register for them? And then do you guys email them a code? Or is it more hey, you can come on Insta Live or Facebook Live and watch them? How would people sign up for those virtual trunk shows?
I would say sign up for our newsletter at swirlboutique.com, SWIRL boutique.com. That's a good way to know everything that we're doing. And we always make that announcement so you don't miss it. The great thing about IGTV now and lives is that you can save it to your IGTV, which I'm so thankful for the Instagram.
Yes.
So people can tune in whenever. But it is nice to kind of be there right when everything's happening, and we'll be showcasing all the new product, and we'll have, really fun incentives coming up. So I think it's nice to be a part of that, but you can always catch it later on our IG at Swirl Boutique, and just check us out there. So it's the easiest way to do it. But if you need a reminder, definitely sign up for our newsletter, because we will send you a reminder, and we send you, we call it the Swirl Society. So if you're a part of our society, we send you incentives that we don't necessarily offer on our social media platforms. So it's kind of a fun little secret society that you can be a part of.
I love it. And then you guys have Pinterest, where people can also check out your awesome brands and clothes. And how are you all using TikTok as a retail boutique?
Oh my goodness. So I'm personally not, but we have a girl that is killing it on TikTok. So I look at the girl's strengths, and she loves it. So we do TikTok with her. So we always kind of formulate, okay, what are we going to do? What are we showcasing? What's going to be fun for today or this week? So she does our TikToks, but it is so much fun. I love watching them, and I need to get in there and actually make one with her, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yes, we've since quarantining, we've just been getting into it. And now it's we have a girl helping us in the Philippines that it's I'll make them all day long, but then following the algorithm and the best times. And I'm oh, it's just another platform, but it's so much fun. It really is fun. And I've learned a lot from it too.
I'm going to give away my age, but we had the old school video cameras my parents did back in the day. So I would always set those up and direct my friends and tell them, okay,
I love it.
We're going to do that. So it kind of reminds me of that. I'm I would have been killing it at TikTok if I had that then.
Right.
And it makes have to get creative and just have fun with it.
Yes. I'm the exact same thing. I'm if this existed when I was in high school doing all these fun dances and winning all these little dance competitions, and we would go to teen night and do all these dancing routines, me and two of my best friends. I'm we would have been killing it. We would not be working right now. And so I'm semi jealous of the hype house kids, and my little nieces keep me in the know. And,
right.
At first I was TikTok. And then when they were homeschooling, well, they're still homeschooling. I mean, they're out for summer right now, but I'm okay, you work 3 hours of homeschooling, and then you can do 3 TikToks and then you can watch TikTok for 1 hour. It's very addicting, very addicting.
Right. And you just don't know what's going to hit too. You think that some of the smallest things that I didn't think were that exciting are our biggest TikToks. So it's so funny to see what actually hits and what people are into. And I think the key of it is just, find a direction, but just have fun with it.
Yep. Always. I'm going to go follow you guys so I can see all the cute things that you're doing. And then I know that in the show notes, we'll put this in there, but people can go to swirlboutique.com. And if you're listening today and you want to get some cute clothing, you'll get 20% off. Just use the code Angela20, so 20% off. So thank you so much for extending that to our listeners. That's super, super nice. And I'm going to have to go on and go shopping myself, because some of this stuff is super cute. And even though I'm well, I don't know the next time I'll be going anywhere. So I love the brand that you were saying, the laundry brand. I'm the laundry room. I'm going to go check that on your website too. So super helpful. Do you have any final thoughts? The best way for people, I know you said, is to sign up for your newsletter, right? To keep in the know about everything that's going on.
We give you special access to sales and things that we don't necessarily offer on our social media platform. So there is a really great reason, and just different tools and brand expansions that we're doing. I would say definitely tune into that, but definitely follow us on Instagram, because we're going to be showcasing so many upcoming fun projects with different brands, and you can shop virtually, and we'll have fun incentives, and you'll get to see some of your favorite influencers styling the pieces. And we also do give back. So everything that we do is usually tied to a charity. For the last L Space event we actually did 10% of sales went back to Laura's House, which was for a domestic violence and children of women program that they actually take care of these women, and their stores were closed. They do retail stores as well. They do a resale shop. So we wanted to support them. And obviously we've had a huge impact in that rise going up. So we always like to tie things back to some type of local charity. So that's a good reason to jump in and shop from our stores too.
Yes, absolutely. And I love like all the highlights on Instagram that you guys have. I love like looking at all the different girls that you guys have styled and the different brands and the openings, and like you're killing it on the highlights. I'm like, ooh, I need to look into all this.
Yeah, we just did one with Lauren Workus. She was on Bravo Summer House and she just got married. So if you're not able to travel, that one out. It's Lauren X Swirl, and she took us to Cabo and gives you all her favorite tips and tricks. And she had a fun day, obviously wearing Swirl Boutique, of course, but we got to see her whole day to night fun adventure. So it was kind of fun. If you're missing traveling, that was a good one to check out.
Yes, I love Cabo. It is like our go-to place. I go like several times a year because the weather is so perfect. It's
Always.
like it doesn't matter. I mean, it's hotter than Hades right now, but you're so close to the equator, but it's like usually we go every December, and like sometimes I'll go throughout the year because we have some clients out there, thank goodness. And people are like, oh my gosh, can I climb in your suitcase? And I'm like, well, we're going to work, so I don't know like how much fun it would be, but it's fun like working in such a beautiful environment. So I'm going to have to go and check that out because I love Cabo. And it is a place that I'm missing big time. So Thank you for telling me that.
I had FOMO too, just watching her. And we're also doing a blog post where she's going to be sharing some of her favorite places to eat, shop, drink. I mean, it is such a fun, extensive list that if you are new to Cabo, you're going to want to check that out too, because she really hits all the main places that you want to go.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all your time today. And ladies listening, be sure to sign up for the newsletter to become part of the Swirl Society, which that's so cute. I love it. And be sure to really follow on Instagram because there's some super cute things and amazing highlights. So thank you so much, Lisa. This has been so awesome. And everybody be sure to go over and shop to get your 20% off. So Angela 20 is the code. We'll put it in the show notes. And everybody that's listening, thank you so much for your time today. And be sure to tune in next week to another episode of Business Unveiled. Everybody have a great day. Bye.
Now that you have all the tools you need to conquer the world in GSD, just share this with your friends and your fellow GSD leaders. And be sure you're a subscriber so you never miss the juicy details of Business Unveiled. And you can ask Siri to listen to the latest episode, but you got to be a subscriber. Before I go, I have a huge favor to ask, and it would mean the world to me. While you're listening, snap a quick screenshot, post it to your Instagram story, tag me at GSDleader_, and share with me your top takeaway from this episode and how it relates to you. Until next time, remember, stay productive and profitable.
You've been listening to Business Unveiled with Angela Profit. Join us next time as we share our experiences to help you be more productive and profitable in your creative business. For more great resources, visit angelaprofit.com.